Okay, now we're going to slide right into a very snow and ice control plan. And with me here is Ken Boulette.
This is, just so that you know, this is backed by popular demand. They did an excellent presentation last year, and I'm not joking. A lot of people have asked, could we get an update? Just to remind, because as we like to say, this is perishable. You've got new people, memories fade. So being in the snow.
It should be an annual thing, I agree.
Yeah. And of course, being on the eve of another snow, ice, sleet event, it's very appropriate that we scheduled it. And without further ado, I give you our own.
Ken's email and phone number isn't on this first page.
I'll try to keep my personal information off it. Ken Boulette, I'm the highway crew leader. Been working for the town for quite a few years. This is a shorter version of the snow and ice control plan. The main plan's about 44 pages, so I'll try to make this quick.
And I'll just say that's currently on the manager's website, theirs, and we'll put this up tomorrow for the abbreviated.
Yep, you can, like I said, find it right on the webpage, under Public Works and under Highway, bottom of the page. Don't want that. Down. Oh, wrong way. All right, stop the snow plan. Just wanted to pick out a few things here. There's a lot of stuff in the plan itself, but start with forecasting. Forecasting, we have our own weather service that we look at. It goes out 15 days. We can ask it questions. What do we expect in Enfield? They actually have a meteorologist at, anybody that's on it. We also look at other TV stations. We get together with Donald and other division managers to try to come up with a plan, because we're kind of at the mercy of the weathermen, which is kind of scary at times, as you guys well know. But we're looking at everything. We're looking at where we're located, being in the valley here. A lot of times, if it's been cold, the cold gets locked in here. If it's been warm, this changes the whole outlook of the storm. But we're looking at a lot of different avenues, and, years of experience does help. There's a few things here I'll just be bypassing on quickly. The sidewalk snow removal, a couple things with that. There's always questions why the sidewalk clock doesn't start right away. A lot of it has to do with Buildings and Grounds is really tasked with a lot of work. They help us with the roads. They also doing all the town buildings, school parking lots and everything, and it's quite an undertaking.
Because your tweet was can you just explain when it starts? So if it snows tonight, and just so you guys are out doing your thing, you're not done till Wednesday, right? Just explain when it starts. Why?
Well, when it starts is when we know that there'll be enough time to clear the town walks within 24 hours.
So we're not penalizing anyone if the town doesn't clean its sidewalks first.
Correct.
That's
yes.
Perfect, yes.
Yeah, because it would not be look very good.
Very good. No,
yeah.
I think people know that, because I think it's actually great that
Right.
we're doing our.
I think it's cool. We get our own house in order, and we don't think it would be hypocritical for us to start to criticize others when even though you may only have one small area and we have a lot more area, we think it's equitable that when we are done, that we then start the clock, however long that may be. The last storm was probably how long, Ken? Maybe about.
It was quite a bit after, but there was so much snow to remove.
So much snow, so it was a couple of days.
Well, I'm not talking last week. I'm talking the first one. It was a couple days. Because there was so much snow to remove.
But we put it out there, and you know that once it starts, we're done, and you have 24 hours.
Right. Yep.
Parking ban I'll talk about a little bit in a second. Snow event notification log, that's something we talk about so we can get all the information out, but I will address that in a minute. How residents can help. Main thing, the residents, parking ban's a big thing. If they can get their vehicles off the street. Basketball hoops, I cannot tell you how many basketball hoops are out there on the streets. And Mike, I love basketball, but it does cause issues.
For the record.
Yeah.
But perhaps because Donald had told me this, and we support it, we like it. I know when I was town attorney, we had to talk about it. But Donald, in one district, one plow driver, how many basketball hoops in one area alone?
There was 80.
In
your around your neighborhood, Mr.
So
Mayor.
multiply that, and it's just that causes a real.
It's District 3, by the way.
And what difficulties does that pose, Ken? So people understand why we're doing it.
It does. Well, the trucks have to swing around it. The drivers out there, they don't want to damage any. One of the contractors damaged one, got caught on the doorbell camera last year, and it's just they overhang the road. The trucks are tall, got high headboards, mirrors, could do damage to their trucks and other things. So snow, and we're not able to get the snow back to get the catch bases clean, if we have some flooding like we did after the last storm.
So we ask everybody to cooperate with us. We don't want to go to enforcement. We want to go to education. So please, this is the reason, and to help your neighbors and people on your own street, for the safety of the drivers. I mean, sometimes they're up a long period of time plowing, and there's fatigue factors. Is at night. It's difficult, to be able to see those. So please be considerate. Try to remove them, and then bring them back, in the spring, or at least if you're going to use them, you're not supposed to be in the street, but at least do it in a responsible manner. We'd appreciate it.
All right, next thing I'll just touch on quickly, we're going to be going to another slide with the roads not maintained by the town of Enfield, which are state roads. Plow trucks with raised plows, we have another slide, and mailbox replacement policy, there's another slide coming up. And there's a lot of stuff in this control plan. I know Donald, the town manager, and other folks put a lot of time into this, because I think our last plan was about 4 pages. But, so we'll go to the next slide and down. All right, parking ban blue lights here. And there's actually cameras on these lights. They do help with getting a kind of a gist of what's going on out there. With we have a bunch of them on state roads, but I can't get my cursor working here. There we go. All right, we have one on Belmont and Route 5, Elm and Route 5. There is also signs out there with the blue lights, other than 2 locations, High and Route 5. South Street, Pearl, Franklin, and Pearl. We have newest ones are exit 48 North. There's my cursor. Freshwater and Elm Street. We have quite a few down in the Green Valley area. We have one on Green Valley, halfway down Green Valley and Pearl. Laurel, Nutmeg, End of Laurel, and Laurel and Park. Parking ban notification. We do take great pride in trying to get the word out here. We put it out on a couple TV stations, radio. We have the Notify Me that people can sign up for. The town website, a DPW tweet. We have our info line we try to change for every storm, which we normally do. Town Facebook, ETV. We actually just put the parking slide up there tonight because we're having one tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the residents. We also use this to notify for the sidewalk clock start. Town website, DPW tweet, Notify Me, info line, town Facebook. December 2nd storm. We put a lot out there. We usually try to get 3 extra duty officers to work with us to get cars moved. A lot of the beat officers will help us out too. But just the December 2nd storm, they moved 191 cars for us. Towed 15, ticketed 18. The job that they're out there for is really to get cars moved. We're not looking to tow anybody's car or ticket anybody's car. And a lot of this focus is in Thompsonville. We have a lot of challenges in Thompsonville with the narrow streets, no place to put snow. It's a daunting task. And with the police help, it really helps us out clearing the streets and making them passable for emergency vehicles, people, and our town trucks. All right, these are authorized parking lots, so people from Thompsonville can try to get their cars off the street. We do Whitworth Street, you can see them there, Angelo Lamagna, South River, Boat Launch, Isnuntuck, and Pearl and South Street. It does get tight because there's not a whole lot out there, but we do offer something to assist the public. Private driveway policy. No, we do not plow private driveways and entrances here. As this graph shows, snow should be plowed or shoveled to the right side of the driveway as you are facing the road. This helps eliminate snow piles at the driveway entrance whenever possible. Do not push snow out onto the road anytime. We have a lot of issues with snow blowers. Sometimes it's easier to not turn your chute and blow it out in the road. One of the big things is people with pickups plowing driveways. They tend to push the snow across the street, creating windrows. And the biggest thing is if they don't get it all the way across the street, and most don't, it creates an ice dam that could damage the plow, hurt the guys. It's definitely a major issue. All right, we're going to the roads not maintained by the DPW. We don't plow, we don't fix potholes and anything. They're right here. It's Broderick Road, Elm Street from Route 5 to Walgreens, Enfield Street, Franklin, and Fruit Street. Everybody thinks they're town roads. If you didn't work for the town, you probably would think so too, because they're not really major roads. Hazard Avenue, North Maple Street, Shaker Road, and Taylor Road from Shaker Road to the East Long Meadow line in Depot Hill Road. Plow trucks with raised plows. A truck with a raised plow does not always mean the driver has completed that area. A plow truck can be driven with the plow up for many reasons. They may be returning for fuel or fuel service, returning for salt. It is quicker to get back to the assigned areas. Responding to calls to assist emergency services. A lot of times during a snowstorm, we're getting calls that a police officer may be trying to get somewhere. Ambulances a lot. The drivers will find out what route the driver's on closest to that area and dispatch them from the road. If they're in the middle of a road plowing, there's an emergency comes up, we drop everything and get there. We always try to get the closest plow there. So we do have assigned routes, and we do also have the GPS where we can track our vehicles. Mailbox policy. This is a new one. It's it's a tough one. The only way we replace mailboxes is if it's a direct hit from the plow or the truck. It's not the slush coming off the plow. We encourage our drivers and advise them if they do hit a mailbox by accident with the plow or back in to report it. The major storm, I think we had 3 of them that were actually hit by the driver in the truck. So,
And that's over the span of 3 days.
All right.
yeah. So that was pretty good.
You guys are very responsive to the ones we saw. So
Yeah. And like I said, if the resident complains or puts a complaint in, we'll go out, we'll inspect, determine if it was struck by the plow. It's pretty easy to tell if a mailbox has been struck by the plow. I think one of the main reasons this mailbox policy went in, over the years, we've replaced a lot of rotten posts. Wood doesn't stay in the ground for a long time. This is just a graph through the U.S. Postal Service. Shows the proper height for a mailbox, the proper distance from the road, and to at least bury them by 2 feet 24 inches. We also do not replace expensive, decorative, and specialty mailboxes are not required, and therefore the financial responsibility will not be borne by the town of Enfield. We've had some expensive mailboxes that we've replaced, in the past. So. It's tough telling people no, but it's getting to be an issue. All right, there's the graph. Our snow removal operations, we don't always put it into effect. It determines on the amount of snow we had. After our big storm, by the time we got to downtown, it was a couple days later. So I think we went from Sunday to Tuesday. On Thursday morning, we started removing snow around churches, some of the tougher streets downtown. We did all the snow removal with our own equipment. We removed 170 loads of stone. So that's our equipment, basically 5 or 6 trucks. And the more snow you get, the quicker the trucks fill up. So we did a pretty good job. And then we had the rain and everything else come in over that weekend, so we didn't continue it. And I guess that's the end of my show, but I gladly answer any questions and comments and come off too nervous.
you did great, Ken. Any questions? Councilman Bosco.
What is the parking lot policy? Because I know in our subcommittee, we were supposed to do a parking lot policy, so after the snow was done, you had to get your cars out of the parking lot so they could plow them and clean it up, and I haven't heard anything about that.
I'll refer that to Donald.
We have not developed an official policy yet. We just kind of have to keep patrolling it. Once a car moves, we got to try to get in there and hit it and move it. And again, and like Ken said, it does get tight real quick because people are vying for those spots and they don't want to move. And sometimes, like the one on
South Street?
no, on Pearl, no, not Pearl,
Whitworth.
right next to the Polish. Right,
Yeah, Whitworth.
we own half that. We own half of it, and the other business owns the other half. So sometimes people get confused that we didn't plow that, but we only do half of it on that particular parking lot. But for official policy, we have not adopted one yet or developed one yet.
Oh, we need to.
Yes.
Councilor Sferrazza.
Great presentation, and one of the things I think is important for the community to understand is, and I'm sure it's this way today in the police department, when the snow's falling, there's a snow ban, citizens would call up and say, you need to go tow this car. The officers don't have that type of personnel to just go all over the town. So the way we used to work it, we'd rely on you to say, hey, we're going down to Windsor Street in 20 minutes. The cops would go ahead of you and try to clear it. You're still working that way, pretty much?
We try to get the officers started right away before the snow actually hits,
Right.
because it makes it a lot easier for everyone, tow truck drivers and all. So the biggest thing is they try to go through the areas and get as many cars moved as possible.
Right.
Because as I said, the last thing we want to do is tow or ticket
Exactly.
anybody's car. Like I said, we normally we bring in 3 to 4 officers. 3 officer would be, one would work High Street north up to the state line, one would work High Street south down to Green Valley area. Other one would start like in John Street section and work north.
And these are extra job officers,
Extra,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And they're patrol officers, they're the district officers. They'll help us out when they can, but a lot of times in snowstorms they're busy.
Right.
You know.
And the other thing is to try to prevent accidents with our personnel. At the police department, when I was there, the gas pumps, they freeze up on them, and we had officers slipping all the time there. They looked at some type of overhang or something so the officers could fuel without having to slip and slide. And then we had the same thing at the administrative entrance to the department. The gutters never held the water, so it'd be like a skating pond. And not only have we had officers with severe injuries, you've had your own staff with femur injuries. Are we addressing that this year at all?
Yeah, the gutters were replaced. There was the wrong size gutters for that, so that situation's been rectified.
Okay.
The tanks at the EPD are going to be due for replacement in 2021, calendar year 21. So any improvements now are I don't know if we're going to be entertaining that, but that tank is going to have to be replaced, and we're going to go an above ground gas tank at that point for EPD.
Okay.
So it's mandated.
All right, thank you.
Replace it.
Councilor Angara, Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. On your video, you show the trucks being filled up with the snow. Where does that truck go, and where do you dump them?
We tend to use Brainerd Park out back because it's a quick turnaround. We can get our trucks because we're using smaller ones. Past years we've used rental 10-wheelers in bigger trucks. We do have one 10-wheeler ourselves, but so we try to get a quick turnaround because they can get to Brainerd Park, dump quick and get back. So we've also used a transfer station in the past, but for downtown snow removal, Brainerd Park seems to work well for us.
Deputy Mayor Suzak.
Can you give us some guidance on how we should put our trash out? Because I noticed that a lot of times the plow has to go around the trash cans. I happened to be, I think it was for one of the storms, the first, and I'm on South Road and I'm watching, and the plow's coming down, and he's got to go around every single trash can, and it's like really hard for us to try to do the right thing. So a little guidance would help.
If trash is delayed, we would, hope that the residents would bring their barrel back in because that really makes our life a lot easier. Trash guys, nobody's trying to knock cans over because our guys are picking them up. So if the residents know their trash is delayed a day, to try to bring it up or get it up 10 feet away from the road. So it would definitely make life easier for everyone.
Put it in your driveway.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mayor,
Councilor Muller? Oops, sorry.
Coach Ken, thank you. Thanks for your crew and all they do. I'm on the click fix, and I see all the complaints come in after. My cul-de-sac isn't done right, or the sidewalk isn't done or it's mounted on the sidewalk, and you take care of all those.
Thank you.
Thanks. How many of those do you get per storm, roughly?
I don't know. I'd say maybe about 20. Yeah. The thing is, and I told Donald this, and he understands snow removal. The first storm of the year is always a bad one, but when we get a first storm of the year and we almost get 18 inches of snow, we get beat up pretty good.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Susak had asked for where we are budget-wise with our snow account, so I'll just quickly, Donald was kind enough to provide. Highway budget is $150,000 budgeted, $107,000 remaining at 71%. Magnesium chloride is budgeted at $17,152. We have 93% left, or about $16,000 plus. Contractors in the budget for outside help is $92,000. We have $66,000 or 73% remaining, and untreated salt is a large number, $224,295. Remaining is $194,960 or 87%. So we'll see what tomorrow brings, and we'll report at the next meeting.
And it's just December.
Yes.
Anyone else? I just want to thank you guys, too, for picking up the brown barrels the week after the storm, which I know is a nice little touch, by the way. I mean, I know it's technically, once it snows, we don't do it, but I know a lot of people had their barrels out, so I appreciate it. And well done in the storm, so I guess you guys are old hat now, right? Thank you both. Appreciate your patience as well. Sorry we were late.
Thank you.
Thank you both.